This is Pop Culture Yearbook. On this show, we pick pieces of pop culture that were important to us in a given year. We then discuss our memories and dig into those movies, albums, shows, and more. I'm Brad.
I'm Pete.
And I'm Giff.
Now, last time I was on, I got a huge round of applause from the sound effects people.
Not anymore.
Not this time.
It hasn't been that long.
It has not been that long. People's hands are still recovering from all the applause that they gave you last time.
The applause.
Still.
Oh, the applause. Okay.
Yes.
And last time you were
anyway,
on,
go on.
We invited you. Tonight, you invited yourself on.
Yes.
So totally different
That's right. I hope
situation.
you don't mind me crashing your party.
Black
we'll
Panther
find
party.
out. We'll see.
We'll see how it goes, eh? All right.
So, we're just going to turn it over to Pete. I thought we picked a topic, but apparently he picked it with Gifford. I don't really know what the big hush-hush about it was, but...
Because here's how that went down. Because I thought it would be a fun idea if we said that, if Gifford said that you had a mystery guest and that I wouldn't reveal myself until we were recording. And so then we were keeping it hush-hush between me and Gifford. Gifford had a guilty conscience about this.
Yes.
And he's like, this is really Brad does all the work. And so we should really tell him because this is going to be such a nightmare if we try and surprise Brad on air. So
Pete,
anyway, that's what we're going to do.
Didn't you get into some trouble a few years back by revealing yourself?
Well, but we don't talk about that on air.
Those files are sealed, so we're good.
Well, I
so
feel
we're going to do it like it was going to be like Smartless, where Gifford shares a little trivia, drops a couple of hints about the celebrity guests that you got, and then you would have to guess who it is. And then
I don't understand though how I wouldn't know it was you sitting right here in front of me as we do this. Like, how are you going to
turn my camera off? I would have the camera off until I'm ready to come on, and I would use I'd use a pseudonym instead of saying Pete, and it would work just fine.
Maybe it would have worked, but here we are.
I think it would have been great. You know what? I was expecting, like the mom on Arrested Development, anytime Martin Mull revealed himself.
Well,
and that's what I was really hoping for.
You could have put your name in as Brian, and it could have been any number of the Bryans that we have on the show.
Could have been Brian Rappy. It could have been yourself.
It could have been Colburn for a big shocker.
Colburn. Yeah,
that would have been a bigger shocker.
Got a lot of good Bryans.
I'm actually thinking it would have been a big disappointment, Brad, when I revealed it as myself. So, it's Pete.
It would have been. Well, it's Pete again.
I mean, I would have had some weird different expectations, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway, go on.
Later tonight, we're going to draft our favorite non-traditional families, and I feel like our non-traditional family is back together here right now for this.
Yeah,
it is.
Very nice. Yeah.
So, Pete, what is our topic?
Our topic is the show Modern Family, which I didn't really watch much when it was on the air. I heard it was a wonderful show, but I never really got into it until like just a few years ago, and I just started binge watching it, and it is a hell of a binge watch. The comedy is so great. All of the characters and actors are fantastic. Especially, it's fun to see Ed O'Neill in a completely different role than Married with Children. It's fun to see him as the rich, successful guy that everybody kind of looks up to. And he is a true patriarch as opposed to Married with Children. It was a different role, but there's still a lot of similarities between the two. And I think they kind of made some at points. They made some deliberate tie-ins. So I do want to talk about that. Gifford, you probably have a couple of those in your fun facts. You're always so good at all the fun facts. But...
Oh, God, don't talk me up too much. My fun facts aren't that great this evening.
Because he's the fun guy here.
Yeah.
Well, for example, the newspaper that he reads in the show is the same newspaper that he used in Married with Children. So there's a little bit of a connection there, yes.
Oh,
I think we talked about that. I feel like that we might have talked about that on the Married with Children episode, I saw it as another fun fact. That's where I heard it somewhere. But anyway,
I'll have to pay better attention to that.
But we're going to talk about the three different families, but the show is really, it's all one extended family. But really it's sort of three families that the show is about. All of them have their unique characteristics. One is really more of a true traditional family. The other two have some non-traditional aspects of it. And so we're going to dive into that. And I'm going to dive in specifically to the characters in a moment. But Brad, I want to call on you. You can share your memories now, since I know that you're just itching to do it, obviously.
I'm fine. I'm just waiting here.
Go.
So,
the
unlike you, I did watch it from the day it premiered. But it was funny because you'd think it was a big show, but I had never heard of it. Like, the way I remember it is my wife said, like, that afternoon, will you watch this show with me tonight? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And here's what's really weird. I mean, I'm a little slow sometimes. So I watched the first episode, and I mean, I'm loving it. And I'm loving the three different storylines going on, which, if I remember right in the pilot, they're all kind of separate, and then they all come together at the end. And like, I'm watching this, and I know the title's Modern Family, and I didn't even really put it together until that moment that these were all the same members of the same family. I thought they were like three different stories.
You'll have to excuse my friend. He's a bit slow.
Made it more like it hooked me even more that way. It was nice. So, but we watched it, and it was like The Office when The Office premiered, and everybody was just blown away by how funny it was, and they were talking about it all the time. That's what this show was too. It was like everybody that I knew was watching it. I can't believe you didn't watch it, because we were talking about it all the time and how funny it was. And it was just a phenomenon, and I loved it.
And it does have that kind of similar format, the mockumentary type format, where I guess you could say that where they're doing the little mock interviews and stuff, which does add to it really well.
I should add on to it that I watched it. My wife and I watched it for about 3 years, and then she always drops out of things. But I continued to watch it probably for 6 or 7 years. And then, what was it, 11 years or 10?
It was 11.
I stopped watching it every week.
It's a long run, by the way.
When the final episode came around, I heard about it. I'm like, okay, I'm going to watch that. And I did, and it was great. But like the last 3 or 4 seasons, I didn't watch much of. And whenever I saw like it was on or whatever, it just didn't look right. When the kids got older and everything, it just felt like a much different show. But I mean, it has a pretty long run of greatness there before it got to that point. So it's pretty impressive. And even those newer episodes, I mean, if I really sat and watched them, I'm sure they're pretty funny most of the time. It's kind of like The Simpsons. It didn't go on for that long, but like we all love the first, 7 seasons of Simpsons. And it's still great, I'm sure, most of the weeks, but we haven't watched it in 30 years. So it's...
and The Simpsons have the advantage that nobody ages. It's a cartoon, so the kids don't age.
Yeah, you don't get the old Manny and Luke, which I don't love.
Right. Yep. Well, and I started watching this pretty early on. I mean, I Ed O'Neill was a big pull for me because, loved Married with Children. And then, really the only other one that I knew was Julie Bowen coming into this series. So everybody else was, new to me. So it was easy for them to fall into the characters of this show. And yeah, I just think it's such a fun take on it. Phil, becomes my favorite character, but having Sofia Vergara on the show is a good way to hook a person like myself to come back and watch over and over again. But it was just so refreshing to watch. Fun storylines, plenty of characters that you could dive into a different storyline every week. So yeah, it was really great. And yeah, 250 episodes. I'm kind of like Brad. I watched it early on, probably first 6 seasons, maybe 7, and then
that's what I said.
Just stopped watching, and then I think I did come back and watch the final episode. When it came out on television. So yeah, I kind of lost track of it for a while. I'm with Brad, like Manny and particularly Luke. Just didn't didn't hold my attention
I'll also
real well.
say that we'll get into the families, I think, here in a minute. Some of the older characters too, like some of the ones I loved at first, like they started to get they started to grate on me too. A
Okay.
few of them here too. So one in particular.
Well, I'm sure we'll
Oh,
have to
we'll get
dive
into
into that.
that.
Yeah. Pete, could I
Stay
go
tuned to
through
find out which character grades on Brad.
could I go through a couple fun facts?
You may.
All right. So this was highly acclaimed. So it has 22 Emmy wins, 5 for Best Comedy Series, 4 for Supporting Actor, 2 by Eric Stonestreet and 2 by Ty Burrell, and then 2 for Supporting Actress for Julie Bowen. And in 2011, also won the Golden Globe for Best Comedy / Musical TV Show. And of course, our creators on this show are Christopher Lloyd and Stephen Levitan, both involved as producers in Wings and Frasier. Levitan also Larry Sanders Show, Just Shoot Me. And Lloyd began his career as a writer on The Golden Girls. So a
So
long
not the
line.
same Christopher Lloyd as Back to the
No,
Future.
that is correct. Yes.
Just to be
So
sure.
so a lot of pedigree in the TV world between these two creators. So that's all I got.
I will just throw
All
in one other, it's not really a fun fact, but a show with
Mm.
a big cast like this, like Friends had and everything, they had some salary disputes at times, but they were always able to work them out. And like nobody ever left the show, and the show was always on time. It never had like any hiccups, which is pretty impressive with all the different adults that they had on here. And at first, like Ed O'Neill was getting paid a lot more, and he maybe still did after a while, but they were always able to work it out, which is a nice story too, especially since they're supposed to be a family.
I
Well,
think
they
that's especially difficult with the kids involved because them as actors, they might want to grow into different characters or go into do different things, but to keep the kids is probably the more challenging part of it, even than the adults.
right, yeah, because they've got their whole career ahead of them.
That's right.
Whatever, everything looks shiny and new, whereas the adults probably know, hey, this is a good gig. I'm not going to mess this up. And there was a time during those disputes where they almost didn't make it back to air in time on those disputes. But yeah, as Brad said, O'Neill was making the most, and the others, because they were lesser known, were making less. And when they did finally come together kind of as a collective bargaining unit, O'Neill ended up taking a little bit of a pay cut in order to come back down to where his co-stars were. But I mean, in the beginning, yeah, you're going to pay an established name a lot more than the rest. And then once it hits, it's like, okay, now everybody else has some leverage because you want to keep everybody on the show.
So, as stated, the show consists of 3 families. Again, it's all extended family, but it's really 3 families that they get along pretty well overall. They have their differences like any other family, and that's part of the storyline. But I'm going to start from the top. I'm going to start with the Pritchetts. So, Jay Pritchett and his lovely wife Gloria.
Mm-hmm.
Jay, played by Ed O'Neill, Gloria by Sofia Vergara. I love them as a couple. I mean, you think that, well, she must only be interested in him because of the money, which probably was it, but doesn't really. It comes up in some episodes like that, but you can tell she truly loves him, and it's not just because he's a rich white guy, right?
He's very charming
and
too.
so he's very charming, and
Yeah.
I think he's a good dad to Manny,
Yep.
which is her kid from a previous marriage. And so, and Manny is an awesome character too. He's a genius at his age, which is the opposite of Luke, which we'll get to in a moment.
Right.
But I just think that he is so hilarious. He's a lot in many ways like my own son, where he's just years ahead of his time, and it's like school and everything, friends or everything kind of awkward, just because he is so far ahead of everyone else.
He's an old soul.
And it actually he's an old soul, and it makes it more difficult. And the fact that you do have, at times, this is where you see that Al Bundy character come out. It's like, come on, why don't you go play football or just be tougher? So you're trying to tough him up a little bit, but it's a lost cause.
Well, and that's like you say, you have those similarities between Al and Jay. Is that Jay is an old school guy, right? Like, I mean,
That's correct. Yeah,
we're,
there you go.
he's kind of more traditional in his viewpoints. We're going to get into that, with another family with his son who's gay, so there's a lot of time spent with him becoming comfortable with that. So, he's got Manny, who is a sensitive old soul and just can't understand why this kid is, doesn't get into the stuff he'd like him to get into, So,
and his personality you talked about is he's got the gay son, but and he's not hateful towards him. He loves his son, but still, it's that old, like you said, it's that old school personality that it just has that like undertone of friction that
he
it's
just
like,
doesn't
this is who I am
understand.
and this is who you are. Right. And so it's just a foreign concept to him.
Right. Yep. Not like you said it perfectly. He loves his son. He just doesn't necessarily know how to connect with him. And, that whole lifestyle is just a foreign thing to him. So that's one of the great things. And that's where a great part of the show is they start from that viewpoint and they're able to, grow in that relationship.
Correct. Brad, what say you? You've been quiet.
Jay, Jay's like my favorite character. He wasn't at first, and I think it's because he wasn't the standout. Like, he was just this even keel guy, and you had other characters that kind of like you loved because they were funny and they had like these different quirky, unique sides to them. But as the show went on, Jay just got better and better, and you're like, this guy is great, and he's such a subtle, great actor. On the other hand, Manny is just the opposite. Like, I love Manny at first. He's so funny. He's such, but like when a kid, and it's not against Manny. It's just when he gets older, it just doesn't work as much anymore. And he's one of the characters that I just kind of didn't care for. And plus, I mean, his personality, which is funny at first, to have that old soul, it gets to be a little too much at times when you're watching it for 6 years or whatever. So, so those two kind of went opposite directions. And I love Jay, and I love Gloria too. I mean, she's great, of course. And she, in one of these episodes we're going to talk about tonight, where she changes how she speaks. It's just, I love that.
It's one of the best things. Well, and we're going to cover the first episode we're going to cover is episode 15 of the first season. I watched all the way through to 15. So, I mean, just getting that feel for her again, like, because half the time you don't even know what she's saying, but it's so funny with her Spanish and then broken English, and who knows what the heck she's saying, but she does it with such verve and enthusiasm. It's just awesome. Verve. Yes. It's just hilarious. So, I mean, she, besides being, wonderful to look at, the character itself is outstanding. So.
I do want to mention Joe, who is the son that they had together. So I cannot, I would be remiss if I didn't mention him. Although,
I was going to mention that
almost had a little bit of an Oliver Brady Bunch feel to it.
Joe reminds me of,
add it.
This is kind of a traditional classic sitcom. It doesn't have a laugh track, but like a family show, like you had a lot in the 80s. But they would always add that extra kid, and rarely was that kid necessary or helpful to the show. And that's kind of what I feel like with Joe. And like, you forget he's even part of the show if you didn't watch it all the way through. It's like, who's this guy?
Think that the kids were starting to get too old, so you had to inject another kid in there. Right?
I don't like it.
So.
But I mean, I guess if it was Jay and her kid together, that's that's nice. It was that adds something to it. But
I have to move on to the Dunphy family, who, in my opinion, Phil Dunphy is one of the top funniest characters of sitcom history. Just because I just love every single thing that he says and does. It just makes me laugh out loud laughing. Because for one thing, I can laugh out loud laughing. I can relate to him so well because it's like I get exactly what he's thinking and what he's trying to do. And he tries so hard for his kids and his wife. And he is a good husband, but he just overdoes it. He tries to be the cool dad too much. And it just comes off hilarious. And then there's Claire, who's great also.
Yeah.
She's just the typical like high strung mother and wife. But then how she just gets frustrated with them, how those two play off of each other is just hilarious. Their children, Haley, Alex, and Luke, poor Alex, because she's the one that's a brainiac. And then you got Haley, who's the party girl, and Luke, I think he's the one that got worse as he got older more than any of the kids.
Well, because he's
he was
such an
freaking
idiot.
hilarious. So dumb, and then they keep trying to inject that as he gets older, and it just doesn't work as well the older he gets.
Right. It's cute when he's young because it's like, okay, he'll come out of it, and then he just never does. And it just starts to get it goes from being cute and funny to just really sad. You know?
Yeah,
like, you can't possibly be this stupid all the time. I love Phil. Phil's he's the fun dad, and he was never the cool guy, right? Like, he's into magic and cheerleading, because his wife was always the cool girl, right? She was the one hanging out with all the, the best people, cool people, and then somehow Phil's able to lock her down. And it's just funny because they kind of switch the way they parent a little bit. She's kind of more the disciplinarian, and he's always trying to be the fun dad. So, yeah,
he's I mean, he was like the best character at first. I loved, or one of the top 2 or 3, and I loved him. And you relate to him because we're dads. He's another one where he's always a good character, but he's playing that kind of buffoonish dad role, and that gets old too after a while. There's some episodes and things where it gets to be a little less believable, but he's still great. And I love him anyway. And then Claire, she's got to hold everything together,
right?
And she can be really funny, but she's a lot, but she's supposed to be. Like, her kids get annoyed by her, and like it's a lot to deal with. And so, but they're very realistic. What I thought about Jay is that, or not Jay, Phil, he's got a little bit of Clark Griswold in him, because like you described him, he's a great dad and he's a buffoon and all that, and he's probably a better person than Clark Griswold, but he's always got that idiotic wandering eye, even for his own father's wife. It's played for more comedy here than with Clark Griswold. I mean, people think that he's a terrible guy, and with Phil, I think you just laugh it off, but it's very similar, and I think that's why I like him, because he's kind of like a new age Clark.
Yeah. Well, and there's one of those episodes early on. So, also with the Pritchett family, the original wife to Jay is played by Shelley Long. And there's an episode where she comes back and she's trying to make amends for being horrible at their wedding. And Shelley Long actually ends up going after Gloria, and it's just hilarious because Phil jumps into the fray and grabs Gloria, and he's just going, I got Gloria. And Claire's pulling Phil off of Gloria, and it's just like, oh my God, dude, you've got to relax a little bit around this woman. It's so obvious, especially early on, at least the ones I rewatched.
I think and we're talking about the Valentine episode we'll be talking about. Phil Dunphy is at his best.
Yes.
And but I do want to talk about, now, as far as I can remember, correct me if I'm wrong, there were other shows and sitcoms that featured gay characters. This is the first one that I'm aware of that featured a gay marriage. And I'm talking about the Tucker-Pritchett family with Mitchell and Cameron, who are both just great together, and a really great storyline. And this was, 20 years ago that the show was made, or maybe not quite that long.
16,
16, when it first came out. And so it's a little bit groundbreaking at the time. I think it probably still would be considered that, but
they weren't major characters, but there was a lesbian wedding all the way back in an early Seinfeld episode.
Okay.
Oh, that's true.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, there you go. I stand corrected.
Was Elaine the minister in that one?
She was the best man.
Oh, she was the best man. Okay. Can't remember. But yeah, I mean, this also, this show was on when gay marriage was legalized. So of course,
Well,
they write
it
that
was
into the
around the
show.
time that it was becoming,
Yep.
legalized marriage
Yep.
was starting to become a thing, which is
The other
good.
one too that I was Ross's wife was with the other woman for the whole series of Friends, basically,
That's
too.
true. Yep. Yep.
They
Yeah,
were much more major characters than the Seinfeld one. They weren't always in it, but
Sure.
they were always there.
correct.
But
This
these
is
were
where it's like truly featured as a main
yes.
storyline of main characters, I think.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, and here,
um,
I mean, you've got Cam is such a bombastic character, and of course, that was, for me, one of the big early draws to the show was Cam just being, so out there and crazy, and there's so many funny things with him. And Mitchell is just kind of a killjoy. He kind of has to be more of the serious one of the two, because of course he's the one that works, and early on Cam is staying home with Lily to raise
Well,
her.
it's
So go ahead.
basically the same relationship as Phil and Claire,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah,
and Mitch and Claire, brother and sister, and they're playing that same role in their relationship.
Well, the difference is that Cam is the one staying home, and he's more of the fun dad, and Claire
mm-hmm.
is the one staying home, and she's got to be the one who's the serious one because Phil is
She's
so
running the house.
goofy. Yeah, she's got to keep that place together. She's really raising 4 children with Phil. I mean,
That's true.
he's right in the mix with Luke all the time, just being an idiot. So, yeah, I completely agree, Brad. There is that similarity there. It's just the parent that's staying home is different, in my opinion. So,
They also had an adopted daughter, Lily, who they
Mhm.
adopted from Vietnam, which
Yep.
they were able to incorporate some of the some jokes there too,
Oh,
lighthearted, lighthearted kind of racial jokes about that.
oh, for
Um,
sure.
that were incorporated in a few episodes, but it was funny. It was well done, really, really
Yeah, I'm
brilliantly
trying to
done.
remember
So
what Jay calls her the first time that he sees her. I think he called her a pot sticker. Let's see this little pot sticker. I'm like, oh my God, what the heck is going on here? Because of course Jay, he's very
yeah,
old school, set in his ways, and doesn't always understand the offensive things that he's saying.
that's true. Brad, anything more to say about the Mitchell and Cameron?
Well, I guess I would say it's very similar to the Jay situation. So, like you said, Mitch is kind of a killjoy, but he's kind of like Ross to me in Friends. He got better and better as the show went on. Like
Yeah.
Mitch became, and one of the ones we're going to talk about was this early episode, but he's really funny in that. I liked Mitch more and more as the show went on. Cam was like the phenomenon when the show started.
Mhm.
Everybody loved Cam. He was so funny. Cam got old though. Like he was probably even before
Mm-hmm.
Manny. Cam was the one that I started to get really tired of because, and he never shuts up, and it's the same thing over and over again. And he's so dramatic, and he gets to be that's
He's
funny
over
for
the
a
top,
while.
right?
It's really
Yeah.
funny for a while, but eventually it's like if we don't change that character at all, it gets to be a little too much. So I started to shift more towards like Mitch was. I understood Mitch when he got all upset. I obviously have a much more similar personality to Mitch. And so that's another one where like with Manny and Jay, like the two characters went opposite directions with me over the course of the show, which it's great that one went up, but then you also had one kind of go backwards too.
Well, and you talk about dramatic. The pilot episode, they bring Lily home, and Mitch did not tell his family that they were adopting this daughter, and so they go over. Cam invites him over, says, "You got to tell your family." And Mitch makes some comment about how Cam isn't that dramatic. And at that moment, the lights drop in the living room, and he brings Lily out to the Lion King song, and he's holding her up, and a spotlight is on her, and it's just like, oh my God, the timing of that joke is so funny. And that was one of the great things about the show. The writing was really funny. The little drop in throwaway jokes kind of under characters' breaths that they didn't necessarily want the other character to hear were just outstanding and great. And you always have breaking the fourth wall where you'll look right into the camera deadpan to kind of drive a point home was always so funny. So yeah, great show.
So I suggested we watch 2 episodes and discuss them. Actually, Gifford suggested one of the episodes that we did, but they're both from 2010, which is the year that is being discussed this month. Both are from different seasons, and they're both holiday themed. So the first one we're going to talk about is season 1, episode 15, My Funky Valentine, which marks the debut of Clive Bixby and Juliana. Phil and Claire's attempt at role-playing to spice up their 17th anniversary, 17th Valentine's Day. So after Dylan gives a saucy Valentine's Day gift to Haley, Phil suggests a night at the hotel where they do the role-playing. Things go south at the hotel bar as Clive accidentally and awkwardly insults his, quote, wife to impress Juliana. The night ends in disaster when Claire, wearing only a trench coat, gets her coat stuck in an escalator, forcing her to endure a public conference with her kid's principal and Phil's business partner while trapped. Meanwhile, Mitchell and Cameron try to help Manny win back a girl after a classmate takes credit for a poem Manny wrote. At a comedy club, Jay gets offended when comedian David Brenner makes fun of his age, leading to a heartfelt moment where Gloria assures Jay she loves him for who he is, only if he promises to love her if she gets fat.
Yes. Well, and the great line there is I have to get older. You don't have to get fat.
That's kind of a recurring joke too throughout the show. But yeah, that was fantastic. I just thought this one is highlighted by the one I've seen it. It's like a meme that comes across on Facebook the whole scene in the bar where Phil is pretending to be Clive and he drops the line where she actually says, if you love your wife so much, why are you not with her?
It's the best line.
And then he responds by saying, because I respect her too much to do to her what I'm going to do to you.
And that puts Claire over the edge.
Slam dunk.
Yes. Claire was in from that moment. Of course, then she leaves him at the bar and goes into the bathroom, comes back we're assuming, right? Completely naked under this trench coat.
Not assuming. She says it.
She says it. Yeah. She hands him her bra, her panties, and her dress. And it's just like she's never been sexier ever. And in that episode, like that is the hottest thing. But this is like you say, it's the first time we see Clive and Juliana. Yeah. But they do spring back up later in the series, correct? Don't they have a couple other rendezvous in the series?
I don't remember. Do they?
I don't remember. It would make sense. I wouldn't be surprised.
But I just love how Phil, is such the dork. He shows up with the name tag on, because he was at a conference and he has the Clive Bixby. And then, of course, when they are on the escalator and her belt is stuck, everybody comes by. Like Pete said, the principal, I think 2 teachers, one of Phil's colleagues, and all of them are like, well, just take your coat off. You'll be, it's fine. And then finally, Jay and Gloria actually come by, which is horrible. But
they saved the day.
Gloria knows what's happening, and she, kind of huddles around her, takes her coat off, puts her on, and Phil is absolutely beside himself. And Jay just looks at him. What does Jay say to him? He says, take it down a notch, Clive. It's just such a great, because, that's Phil's fantasy right there. His wife and Gloria together is just great. So
the one thing I want to point out, right after Phil delivers that line that I just mentioned, just the way he glances at the camera and breaks the fourth wall is just absolutely perfect. Yes. it's like a wink to the audience.
Mm-hmm. And how much better of a line could you possibly have there, right? Like that's
as good as it gets. I wouldn't have been able to come up with that, to tell you that.
Oh no, God no. No.
I was surprised to see Dylan in this one because Dylan is Haley's boyfriend, and I loved him, especially at first too. He's like the dumbest person ever. But I didn't realize he went back this far. Like he's almost like an original cast member. He's
in the first episode.
He was in the first. Okay, well I guess I don't remember that. So he goes way back.
Yep.
Before they even do the role playing at home, there's just the great interchange between these two. So Claire tells him, or Phil says, "I thought you might like a night at a hotel." Claire says, "I would, but would you and the kids be okay?"
Right.
Yeah.
And then once he convinces, she's like, "You might want to take a nap at work since you don't get any sleep tonight." And he goes, "I always do."
But he says it so sexy.
In his sexy voice.
Yes, I always do. Like, it's like, oh my God.
And when he tries to be sexy, it's so, because then he's talking at the bar about his job, and she makes a comment and he goes, "Yeah, it's just a fancy way of saying I know how to get things to make noise."
Yeah, he's so dorky. It's just, and that's another thing I love in the series is how they really flesh out his magic and refer to his cheerleading all the time. And it's, yeah.
I think we should mention the one other story in this, though, too. So Manny's trying to get this girl to like him, and another kid steals his poem. But he goes along with Mitch was at work and had a bad day and didn't get to say his closing argument at work because he's a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
And then it turns out in the restaurant where Manny and all these kids are, he gets to give his exact closing argument in Manny's defense against this other kid, which doesn't work because the girl still likes that guy anyway. Typical. But
of course,
it's great for Manny and him, and it's a shining moment, and they're all happy after that. So that's always fun too.
Well, right. And I love the stuff that Manny talks about, because what are they in 5th grade, I think? So like there's different levels of coolness, at that age. And at one point he talks about the guy that's going to be there, and he says, "I've seen him do a pull-up." And I mean, that's like the top of the mountain, right? For 5th graders. Like he could, and then when Mitch is doing his speech and he keeps referring to Manny as the little guy, and Manny says, "Can we stop referring to me as the little guy? I'm in the 40th percentile." Like, it's, your height and weight, percentile still at that point. It's just great. The different level of what's cool, when you're that age. Getting back to Phil, Brad was talking about his sexy talk. Right off the bat, he comes to her. She says something to him. He says, "Pretty kitty has nails." And then he says a couple other things, and she goes, "Oh, you're pretty smooth, Clive." He goes, "I'm pretty smooth all over." Like, what? Like,
the other thing I like
so
is that
dorky.
Jay is taking Glory to see this comedian she has no interest in, but he's guaranteed she's going to like. And then she actually loves him. She thinks he's really funny. But the tables get turned, and Jay gets heckled and gets made fun of, and he doesn't like it. And then it gives you that thing at the end where you said they get back together. But it's funny to see how it actually did work, and Gloria liked it. And then this reminded me a lot of something that happens in the next episode we're going to talk about, too.
Oh, okay.
All right. Sounds like a good segue, unless you have any more to add.
No, I'm done.
All right, segue. Welcome to your nightmare. Ha, 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 ha. Claire, a Halloween fanatic, attempts to coordinate the family into a perfectly scripted house of horrors for trick-or-treaters. However, the family is distracted by their own personal disasters. Mitchell mistakenly wears a Spider-Man suit to his conservative law firm and has to wear a suit over it, eventually scaling down, like Spider-Man, a pipe to escape down the wall. Phil is trying to be supportive of his neighbor who's getting a divorce, and he worries about his own marriage. And Gloria, self-conscious about her accent, tries to speak with a perfect American accent that just sounds bizarre. The climax occurs during the haunted house, where everyone's bad moods ruin the performance until Claire snaps, revealing that Halloween is the only holiday she still owns. The night is saved as Phil and Claire are able to reconcile, and everyone finally participates for the last kids to show up at the door.
Yeah. This was the one. This was the one I suggested. I don't know how many times I've just gone back and watched this episode because it is so hilarious. It starts out right away, with Claire down in the kitchen, and Luke comes in and she chops her hand off, a fake hand, and of course he's not scared by that. But then here you have Phil with his hand through the cutting board, who grabs Luke, which just completely freaks him out. So it's fun to see these two working together, even if just for a moment. They're definitely in sync, and most of the rest of the episode, they certainly aren't, because Phil finds out, the next door neighbor is getting divorced. And, as the guy tells him, I don't know what happened. I didn't see it coming. So Phil is all concerned throughout the whole episode that he's going to lose his wife. So he's trying to be there for everything and help her out. And it just does nothing but annoy her the whole time.
And the one point in the kitchen where he goes, I could turn around someday and he won't be there. And he turns around and she's actually gone because she just stopped listening.
Yeah, she walks out. She's got other shit to do. And I love just how he looks at the camera because he's embarrassed. He's been talking this whole time and there's nobody in the room to talk to.
That neighbor is Crazy Ira from Crazy Ira and the Douche on Park and Rec.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's what he's from.
Oh, Parks and Rec.
Yeah,
yes.
Thought that was fitting that Pete was on tonight.
Yes, that's perfect.
You were sitting on that one, waiting to get me to say it.
So, like Pete said, this was one where Gloria becomes self-conscious of her accent. Everybody's there's Jay's talking to her, and he's pointing out all these things that she says wrong. And he does say, this is your second language, so you're doing great. But it's not dog eat dog world, it's dog eat dog world. And she just doesn't understand that. And it's not voluptuous. And of course, this package comes for him, and she had ordered these little baby cheeses that Jay really likes. Of course, he opens it up, and it's just baby Jesus statuettes, which is just so hilarious. So she shows up to Claire's as the evil bruja, and she's trying to speak in this perfect English. And I just love when Claire says, "When have you ever been made fun of for being different?" Even with her attempts to speak good English, it's just not working out. And the line that I love is after Claire hears her speak for the first time, she goes, "Gloria, when did you learn English?" It's like, what? When did you learn to speak English? Oh, it's so good.
My favorite line is when Phil is explaining what's going to be happening as far as the Halloween party, and he goes, "Claire and I are going as corpse bride and groom, as if there's any other kind."
Well, and when she has her whole family there, and she's kind of directing everybody as to what to do. Okay, the kids come in, you say this, you do that. And Jay's in charge of the thunder, lightning, and the fog. And she's like, okay, we welcome them. And then it's fog cue. And his line is, "This whole thing is a massive fog cue."
This is the one I was talking about where Mitch, I thought, was really good. Because I think the whole Spider-Man costume is funny. But when he realizes he has to be Spider-Man and he actually scales the wall and gets out of there, was hilarious. But then he bumps into the cars and turns the alarms on, so everybody's watching him through the window.
Car alarm.
He was going to get away with what he was embarrassed about, but of course it's a sitcom, so it turns into the worst possible result.
Yeah,
but they show him he's trying to hide in the toilet, and he's got his legs up, and he's in the Spider-Man pose,
Spider-Man would be.
He's stuck to the wall. That I thought those were some of the best gags.
Because they didn't want anybody to see his feet underneath.
Right. Well, and then in this one also we have Haley in progressively sluttier Halloween outfits. She comes in as a black cat early on, and then her mom tells her to go find one of your old costumes. So she comes down as a nurse, and it's like, oh my God, this girl is.
She's like, I wore this when I was 10.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, it's like, oh my God, so bad.
Mother Teresa when she was hot.
When she was hot. Haley, we'll give you $10 to go put on more clothes. And of course, the sister's like, that's the first time you ever heard that.
Well, and Alex has another good line in here when Claire's trying to convince her to be in the cage and saying, you got to do this. You're in a house of horrors. And she goes, I know. Why is the cage necessary? To the normal house is a house of horrors.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, well, and the other recurring thing in this one I love is that Phil gets freaked out every single time by the little skeleton that pops up when you walk past it. I mean, it gets him every time. It's just great. One
And then
of the
at the
other.
haunted house,
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, at the haunted house, when Gloria is trying to speak American, who was it that said, did she just get back from the dentist?
Yes, I think was it Cam who said that?
I think it was.
I think it was Cam. Yeah.
Well, and
that
then
was the
Cam,
perfect line.
and then Cam, of course, has his own storyline because he had the worst Halloween thing ever happen to him.
Yeah.
When he was a kid, and he won't tell anybody what happened, but at the same time, he won't stop talking about it. So it turns out, like, when he was a kid, one of his friends stole all the candy, and he was dressed as Quasimodo, and then the kid blamed him. So all the townspeople came after him. So he was scarred for life. But that was a fun little storyline too. One thing I will say with the casting on this, Phil's dad is played by Fred Willard in different episodes, and I just think that is 100% spot on casting as
that is
Fred Willard. Yeah. Both very kooky.
At the end of this episode, this is where it ties into the David Brenner thing from the other one where Jay couldn't take it. They're all making fun of Gloria's accent, and she's like playing along because, they're all getting along now. So she's laughing with them, but they go too far and she freaks out and yells at him. And that's what it reminded me of, like Jay snapping at David Brenner, and then she snapped at all of them and kicks him out of her house.
Yes. Yeah, you can only push her too far, as with anybody, right? But yeah, it's just funny. They all have these examples just ready to go of her misspeaking.
There was one point where Phil is dressed up as his corpse groom, and he's speaking through that speaker.
Yes.
That makes it sound like haunted, and then this chaos starts happening, and he gets kicked in the shin. And he goes, "Oh, Mother of God!"
That is funny. That was one of the funniest parts.
With the voice. Yeah.
Yes.
Super deep. Yeah. Yeah, I love that episode. And usually the holiday ones are just great. I mean, we talked about Friends episodes with, the Christmas armadillo and things of that nature.
Well, both of these picks were perfect. These are like the two most memorable episodes, I think, of the first couple seasons. I mean, the one Pete picked is like the one I thought of right away. I remember that very well with the whole trench coat and all that stuff. And they're two of the highest rated ones. I think if people are listening and they watch the show, they probably remember a lot about these two.
Yeah, definitely left a mark in my memory with
and the whole Haley coming in and saying, "Check it, I'm a big black scary cat." Like, I see that it's on. It's like a viral meme. It's on all the time, and I didn't realize it was in this particular episode, and there it was.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So, our draft for this episode is a little bit of a unique one. But because it fits the show, I picked out non-traditional families. And I kind of left it open. You can define non-traditional as you see fit. I thought of it as like being not your normal nuclear family, being a married mother, father, and their own biological children. Because of course you have some of that going on in this show. So I think I have the number one pick.
You do.
So because it is my episode, this was a difficult one, and to find enough for this one, I thought it would be easier because I did say TV and movies all time. So I opened it up. Normally we just go back to the 80s or whatever, or pick 1 year or a decade, but if this is all time, you can pick whatever you want. The first thing that I thought of when I thought of non-traditional families, and I thought of this, was My Two Dads.
Huh?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So
see, I didn't have that one down, but that's a
you
good
didn't
one.
have. I thought that would be one of your top ones.
I didn't think about it. I would have listed it.
All right, I am going to leave a particular show for the next person to pick, as I have the number 2 pick. I'm going to take tonight's topic. I'm going to take Modern Family. I thought it was just such a wonderful show. At least, the first 6-7 seasons. So I'm going to go that route.
Okay, well, I guess you want me to take something particular, so I will. The original best answer to this question is the Brady Bunch.
There
Here's
you
the
go.
story.
And that, Brad, is exactly why I open it up to all time instead of just going back to the 80s, because I gave that to you. I wanted you to have it, and that's why I
Me
didn't
too.
pick it first.
The first thing I wrote down was the
that
Brady
had to
Bunch.
be yours.
I will not pass it up. It's
Yep.
All right.
Here's
the
the
next
story
one
of this
is
pick.
one of the first shows. Oh my God. One of the first shows, sitcoms, I remember really getting into. Different Strokes.
There you go.
Well, I didn't think of that one either. It's another good one.
Oh.
Different Strokes. Right?
Different.
Oh, I was saying it like
I
Gloria.
just typed out the word. I didn't care how to spell it. I just typed out the word different. I know it's probably wrong, but.
All right. I am going to take my first celebrity crush. I'm going to go with Who's the Boss? Two your father, daughter living under the same roof.
Yep.
Mona in there as well. And yeah. So
what's their name?
Jonathan and.
What's their last name?
Oh, man.
Well, you don't know.
Maselli and.
Maselli. Tony Maselli.
Tony Maselli and what's her name?
Bauer?
Angela
Bauer. That was it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. There's so many fun ones on my list here that I want to pick. But I will go to this one. Dr. and Scott Evil.
Oh, I don't have that.
So he made his son. He didn't see him for 20 years, 30 years. They made him while he was gone. Froze his sperm. Father and son, single dad.
And Frau.
An evil petting zoo.
Yes. Scott. Okay.
Yeah, you can throw Pete, Frau in there too.
What's your next one there, Pete?
Oh, there's so many good ones here. I'm going with Full House.
That was the second one I wrote down. Very good. Uncle Jesse in there. All right. Yep. I'm going to go with one where there is an uncle who's raising 3 cousins down in Georgia. That's the Dukes of Hazzard.
I have that on my list. I didn't know if you guys were going to think about that, but I was going to pick it next, probably.
Yes, I had to have the Dukes.
I didn't have any of these down. They all make sense, though.
This is amazing.
Well, I knew that was such a big category. This was going to happen. My next pick, I'm going to take Buddy, Jovi, and Papa Elf.
Very good. Yep.
Wow, I didn't even think about that one.
You
want more movies. Mine is really sitcom heavy because that's what I was thinking of. I got a couple of movies on mine, but it was pretty sitcom heavy. The next one I am going to take is Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Right. Okay. All right. My next one is going to be a subject that we covered not that long ago. I'm going with Step Brothers.
Oh, yeah. Oh. Good one. Yeah, see, I literally had, other than the Dunphys, none of the ones you guys have picked written down. But they're all obvious ones. That's so many, yeah.
Well, that's why I love this category. There's so much out there that I never even thought of.
All right, I'm going to pick the Dynamites. Napoleon, Kip, Grandma, Uncle Rico.
Again, didn't have that one.
Thought that was a pretty great one right there.
That is a great one.
Tina, conclude her, you fat lard.
You fat lard. It's awesome.
Here is a show that I recently went back and rewatched because it's just the perfect comedy. Arrested Development.
Oh, the Blues. That was one of my next ones on my list.
Yes.
I definitely was about to pick them.
That's a good pick, Pete. That's your
I had to think
pick.
about how how specifically does this fit the category of non-traditional, but just the fact that all their quirkiness and everything is about as non-traditional of a family as it gets. So there's a couple of, I don't know. Just with the cousins falling in love.
All right. I'm going to go with one. Here we had, a husband and wife, but they adopted an alien. So I'm going with the Kent family from Superman.
I thought you were going to say Alf.
So did I. I did have Elf on my list, but I'm going the Kent family and Superman.
I actually thought of Alf, but to me, it was like too traditional of a normal family, but with an alien that just lived there.
Right.
So
yes. Yep.
I didn't know if I would consider that non-traditional, but you're good. You're good with that one.
All right, Brad, what's our last pick in this draft?
Navin Johnson and his black family from The Jerk.
God.
Yeah, that's good. You put more thought into this.
I have great ones. I should win this.
You do.
These are fun.
They're a lot of fun. Great picks.
And I got a lot more good ones sitting here, too.
Well, why don't you tell us what they are?
I got, we did this movie a long time ago, Gone Girl, Amy and Nick Dunn and their baby that was forced upon him. That was, that's good, already non-traditional and going to be even more so.
Mm-hmm.
You got the divorced McClanes from Die Hard, living in opposite ends of the country.
Oh. Okay.
You got the new show Shrinking, Jimmy and Alice and all their neighbors. They're all one big family.
Sure.
I included a couple non-traditional, like not real families, but Cheers and the Golden Girls. These characters are all.
I saw those.
Yeah, and actually Dorothy and Sophia, they are family, living together. So,
okay,
just as much Gifford, guys, as we're a family.
Mm-hmm. I thought you might have this one, Gifford. Barney Stinson and his black brother and his father that he thinks is Bob Barker.
No, I didn't. That's a great one.
Awesome. Single mom, the LaRussos, and then Mr. Miyagi coming into the picture as a father figure.
Very good.
The Roses. Now, they are a nuclear family, but there is nothing traditional about the Roses on Schitt's Creek.
Yeah.
Daniel and his son, single dad, H.W. Plainview in There Will Be Blood.
Okay, yep.
And Delia, Charles, and Lydia Dietz from Beetlejuice.
Yeah, they are definitely odd. Okay. Pete, what else do you have?
I have Kate and Allie. Remember that show?
Basically, every 80s sitcom sounds like it was a non-traditional family. You guys have named about every sitcom of the 80s that we watched.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's a show that my wife likes on Netflix. I think it's Netflix, Grace and Frankie, but they're older people, so it's not like
Courtney watched that.
Yep. Family. Yeah. 3 Men and a Baby.
Yes.
Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yes, I wrote down Mrs. Doubtfire because it is non-traditional for the dad to dress up as an old lady to be their nanny.
Correct.
Yeah, for sure.
That a little bit non-traditional.
Yes.
No explanation really needed there.
No.
I've got a couple of early 80s sitcoms to round out my list. I had Punky Brewster and Webster.
Webster, yes.
Yep. There's so many. Every 80s show. That's crazy.
All right. I got one from the TGIF lineup in the 90s, Step by Step.
There's the new Brady Bunch.
Yep, basically. I've got, you guys don't know this one, I've talked about it, but Shorzy, his family is very non-traditional. His dad adopted 4 kids, so he's got an older black brother, and then he has a younger black sister and a younger Asian sister who are lesbians and are engaged to one another. I've got the Birdcage. You got Armand and Albert who raised Val. And the last one I have is Rosemary's Baby, If the Devil is Your Father. That tends to be a bit non-traditional. So that was my list.
Well done. That was a fun episode.
Yes, very much so. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. It's always fun to come up with new categories for the draft.
What do we have? What do we have next week, Brad?
Oh, next week, Gifford, it's going to be something. So we're kind of following up on what we did last week with She's Out of My League and the other guys. but these are like opposite movies that we've also found some similarities. We're going to do MacGruber, which I watched the other day. That movie's insane. I can't wait for you to watch it.
Is Dave going to be on that episode? You got to have Dave on.
No, but I'm hoping he'll listen. And we're matching MacGruber up against Despicable Me, starring Gru.
Oh my God.
It's going to be awesome, and it's going to be a great way to round out 2010. So please stay tuned for that one. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And Pete, it was awesome having you on tonight. Thanks for
it was awesome to be
suggesting the subject for tonight.
Even if it wasn't as big of a surprise as you had planned, it was still a real nice surprise.
It would have been pretty sweet if we had done it. Gifford's like, oh no, I'm scared.
Did you just do a Cousin Eddie? That's a real nice surprise, Clark.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, and Brad would have said if I woke up tomorrow.
Yes, I wouldn't be more surprised than him right now.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Say, Pete.
Yeah.
Do you know which band Clyde Bixby was kicked out of?
Was that Preacher Row?
Yeah, he was an early member in Preacher Row, and they booted him. Yeah.
Oh, all right. I actually had my own Preacher Row question, but go ahead. That's fine.
Shoot. Yeah, well,
who's the greatest non-traditional band of all time?
Oh, there you go. Well, the thing is he was in there early because he knows how to make things make noise. So that's why they had him in there. Yeah.
There you go.
So, well, thank you everybody for listening.
Thanks, everybody.
See ya.